Hey guys, now this is the last video on the topic of the types of investments that you can make. Please keep in mind that this video is really just to describe the general, really the basic concepts involved. I've really kept it really simple. You know, as we progress into our curriculum, we will get into more technical details. So on my first videos that you can click on, I have a video on the stocks, which I've explained as just a certificate of ownership of a company that entitles you to the assets and the profits of the company. Then I've explained what a bond is, which is basically just to understand it as a loan, and the way you make money with the bond is just you receive fixed payments, interest payments over time, and at the end of the lifetime of the bond, you receive your initial investment back. Keep in mind again, like I say, I really kept it very simple. Uh, Today, I will really go into the alternative investment type. So we have the stock and bonds, which are mainly describes traditional investment because those are the investment vehicles that were traditionally used uh, by investors. And more, actually, I don't even know if you should say more and more, because those investments, most of those investments have always been there. But the literature calls them alternative investments, and that's how we're going to call them too. So let's see what an alternative investment is. I started with I really actually went from the less used, financial wise, to the must use. So the first type of alternative investment is would be precious objects. Let's say, for example, that I own a LeBron jersey that has been personally signed by LeBron James. Actually, I should say Steph Curry now because Steph Curry is really he's a beast, right? So let's say that I have a Warriors jersey that has been personally signed by Steph Curry. As you can expect, that jersey is worth a lot of money now because Steph Curry is balling right now. So, I may have invested just, you know, $30 in the jersey. I was lucky enough to get close to Steph Curry, get his signature, and now I can sell that jersey for $1,000. There's a lot of people here all that really like Steph Curry right now, and they would be willing to pay the price to have a jersey with his signature on. So that would be considered a precious object. Another example would be just a Picasso. You know, I personally don't, but some people really enjoy that art, and they would be willing to pay a lot of money for it. You know, so you get the point on the precious objects. And keep in mind, the it would be classified for investment only if you have the intention of selling it. If you go back to my videos of how I explain where I explain what an investment is, again, an investment is really when you put money on something with the intent of making a profit from it. So if you buy the Steph Curry jersey just to keep it in your house, it is no longer an investment. So that is important to keep that in mind. The goal is to make a profit from it. The next category of alternative investments that we have is infrastructure. This is where you really would like to invest into infrastructure projects. I'll give you just a simple example. It doesn't have to be that example, but just an example that comes off the bat. Let's say, for example, that a government in Africa is trying to build some roads and says to investors, you know what, we don't have the money, we would like to get that money from you. In return, we will have some tolls on the road, and we are estimating the number of people crossing that road, passing through that road to be around, let's say, 1,000 people every day, and the toll charge will be $2. Just an example. I can make the calculation and say, okay, given the number of people that will actually use that road, and given the toll charge that the government will charge on that road, this investment will be worth $50. I'll just give you an example. And so, I would invest into an African infrastructure with the goal of making money from my investment in the long term. And obviously, if the road is actually used more than it was supposed to be used, well, then the investment will appreciate in value, because it would mean that the cash flow coming from that investment would actually be higher than was anticipated. The next investment that is becoming more and more relevant is actually investing in farmland, which is just actually, I would say this is the oldest type of investment, really, but it's becoming more and more conventional for institutional investors, also rich investors as well, to really invest into farmland. And basically, as you can imagine, as you can guess, is just investing in farmland. Now, the next category, the next class of alternative investment is real estate. You know what real estate is. Now, we will end this category with the financial derivatives. This in itself will be another video, because I think, it's becoming more and more relevant. And basically what a derivative is just really a position in the market that will actually derive its value from an underlying asset. Okay, let me make it simple. So a derivative by itself doesn't have value by itself. It derives its value from a real asset. So we have many more, we have a lot of financial derivatives. I'll just focus on those three, because those are the three that kind of like explain it better. So let's say, for example, that we have the options derivative. What an option is basically a right to sell or buy a stock at a fixed price, and they could be at a specific date or before a specific date. But this is really what an option is. Next, you have the futures derivative, and what a futures contract is basically a contract that allows you to buy some commodities or some currency, to buy any asset at a fixed price at a fixed date. And now you can speculate on the price movement, and that's how people actually make money from the futures. We will see that in more details in the next video. And the CDO is really the collateralized debt obligation. It is more known with it's been really vilified because of the subprime crisis in 2008. That's really basically comes from the misuse of this derivative. And as you can see, the derivatives is, it is really something that has its purpose in the society, but it's something that should be used with care, or it can really have a negative systemic effect on the financial markets. By that I mean it can really negatively affect the whole markets and really go from one market to another very fast. So I will have a really separate video just for the financial derivatives, because I believe it is worth a video for that. And that's pretty much the end of the type of investment topic. And just to recap, we have three types of investment. I should say two types really. The traditional type, which is comprised of stocks and bonds, and the alternative type, which is basically everything else, going from precious object to real estate to the financial derivatives. So in the next video, I will really cover the financial derivatives and go into further details. But before I get to that video, I will actually discuss what I've promised you to do, which is actually to discuss the risk-return profile, so that you would understand why you should invest in one thing or another, depending on your expectations and on your risk tolerance. See you guys.